Right, we're going to learn about monopoly. So, in pure sense, a pure monopoly, in true sense, a pure monopoly is a single firm supplying goods in the market and because it's the only firm and as it is the only firm, it has market power in terms of setting the price. Since we are talking about monopoly, we need to understand monopoly power. Now, monopoly as such, single firms, are normally illegal in UK or the developed world, but there are certain monopolies that are actually allowed to exist, as we've discussed, because of economies of scale, such as we've got network grid, we've got network rail. Network grid supplies all the electricity and, transmits all the gas. And then we've got...
They usually have like massive state oversight, don't they? Or they're a state organisation, so...
And then we've got the network rail as well, but then they provide the franchises. And same goes with in the front end, you've got the companies competing, pricing, distribution. But anyways, let's come back to this. Monopoly power is when a firm has a large market share.
25%, isn't it?
It depends. Normally it can be 25 to 40%. Okay? If you look at Tesco, it's got 28%.
Yeah.
Right? Currently it used to have 31% at one point, but until it lost it to the discounting firms. So when a firm has a large market share and some power to influence price, so we'll look at, first of all, a normal monopoly, how they operate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do two diagrams. Okay?
Sorry.
Okay? In one diagram, I'm going to use the marginal revenue and marginal cost curves, okay, with average revenue and average cost. In the other diagrams, I'm just going to use the simple supply and demand curves.
Okay.
Right. 0, quantity, pound. Supply, demand curve, market clearing quantity, that's a market clearing price.
Is that ME?
QE.
QE and
And PE.
Sorry. When it ends.
So market clearing quantity and market clearing price. Right. Now, let's say this was when there were lots of firms, but one firm enters the market, consolidates, buys other firms out, and what it does is it shifts the supply curve in. And we've only got one firm, so that's supply for monopoly. Yeah? And as we learned in consumer surplus and producer surplus, the price has gone up. So we could say that PE was probably PPC, really. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the quantity has been reduced to increase the price. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so we can see now the consumer surplus has diminished to, let's say, A, B, C. The producer surplus is the new, let's say, point B, C, D, E. B, C, D, E
Mm-hmm.
is the new producer surplus. But then this, the part of producer and consumer surplus that's been lost, is the welfare loss to the society or the deadweight loss. Of having a monopoly. So I've used the market demand and supply curves to demonstrate. I can also do an individual monopoly firm to explain what's happening. You have your downward sloping demand or your average revenue curve from which you determine price. Then you have your twice as fast falling marginal revenue curve. You have your average cost curve of the firm. Yep. And you have your marginal cost. The monopolies will supply where MC is equal to MR. Pi is also known as profit. So pi max, where MC equals MR, that's the quantity supplied, that's the price the firm is charging. The cost, average cost at Q1 will be determined from the average cost curve. That's the cost. This becomes the S&P of the individual firm, supernormal profit. And we know where average cost is equal to average revenue, right? Or zero profits. That's your deadweight loss. Moving on. It's between the MC curve and the, because you supply where MC is equal to AR. Here, James.
Mm-hmm.
Not here, here. Okay? Deadweight loss.
Oh, crap. Right, yeah, I see it.
And we left most of it.
Now, moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. There are some natural monopolies which the government allows, or we sometimes even say regional monopolies. Why? Because the problem in UK is the market size is quite limited.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it would not have economies of scale, or let's say very low economies of scale, because we're going to look at some marginal costing over here, which brings the price down. Why? Because we are an island of just 60-65 million people, isn't it?
Mm.
And in US or let's say back home in India and things like that, you've got big population.
Yeah.
So coming back to this, right? So what we're going to do is we look at our water companies, right, like East Anglia or Thames Water or Severn-Trent and how they operate. So what we call them is legal monopolies or national monopolies. Why? Because they're allowed to work in a particular region and they're regulated by Office of Water for their pricing. They have to get the approval over there so that they're not actually exploiting customers because they're the monopoly that's billing them. So what we say is in certain industries, like water companies, as we said, the economies of scale happen at very, very large quantities, right? Not very small quantity. And imagine this, if you had two firms supplying water to you, they would have to dig the road in front of you.
Yeah, twice.
And then they will and then they'll pass the cost on to the customers. So it'll be quite expensive. So that is why you have these regional monopolies, right? So let's say, for example, we've got our zero, we've got pound, and our quantity. And you've got your demand or your AR curve. You have your marginal revenue curve. Okay. And as I said, these firms operate on very, very large quantities, millions and millions of gallons of water, right? So this is the long run average cost curve, and then you have your long run marginal cost.
Carry on. Oh.
That's all right. We're going to do that. Now, if the firm wanted to maximize profit, then they would have been producing at where MR is equal to MC, isn't it? And then Ofwat makes sure that they do not produce over here. If they were to maximize revenue, then probably they would be producing, as we know, where P revenue max, where MR is equal to 0. If they were to make normal profits, we know they would be producing at AC equal to AR.
Yeah.
However, because we want to have the customers with lower price, and then water is a commodity that's used in millions and millions of gallons, isn't it? So what they produce is your long run marginal cost is equal to your average revenue, which would be over here.
What does that top one say? The P something max?
Just P. That's P profit max, pi max, because MC
yeah.
is equal to MR. P revenue max, because MR is equal to 0.
Yeah.
P normal profits, because AC is equal to AR. And then we've got this long run marginal cost, right? Now, your marginal cost is below your average cost over here, isn't it? So are you making a profit or a loss as a firm?
Loss.
Loss, because your price is lower than your
Average cost.
average cost. So this is your loss. Well done. So do you think firms will like to produce over here, but they're making a loss?
No.
So what do you think the governments, how will the government incentivize them to produce at that output queue so that they keep the price that low?
Subsidise.
They give them subsidies. Or one way of giving that subsidy could be, yes, from the exchequer you collect from tax, or just add that back onto the bill.
Yeah.
So what you do is you still get that quantity even at that price.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense? So you're getting this extra quantity, right?
Yeah.
So you do give them subsidy, but the best way is to add that onto the bills to the final user. Otherwise, subsidies has what? Opportunity cost.
Yeah.
If they are deducting on the, let's say, NHS, or let's say on the
Pensions.
military or anything else, isn't it? Education, yeah. So, subsidy, best added on bills. So the guy who's using it is actually subsidizing it within the pricing structure. But does that make sense in legal monopolies?
Yes.
Okay. Then, however, let's look at monopolies now, advantages and disadvantages. So, in terms of advantages, can you think of two advantages of
Of monopoly.
yes?
High efficiency. Well, no, a very, very, well, low on its average cost curve. So
Yes.
economies of scale.
Economies of scale. Well done. So they give you economies of scale, yeah, as compared to perfect competition. So if it is passed on, then it can lead to lower prices, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about dynamic efficiency we discussed?
It will allow for
Monopolies, are they dynamically efficient, or is it perfect competition? Which market structure is dynamically efficient?
monopolies.
Monopolies. And what does that allow for when you are dynamic?
R&D.
No. What does it allow? What is the benefit to the customer when a firm is dynamically efficient? It allows it to compete in the market, isn't it? And for the customer, it's good news because it's lower prices and more customer choice.
Okay, yeah.
So the
Yeah.
price is lower and more customer choice. So customer choice increases.
Surely that goes against the theory of the whole principle of monopoly.
No, in the long run, isn't it? In the long run, if it's as long as the firm is passing it, it's not against. It's actually better, isn't it? That's why we want to have certain firms. We allow them to be monopolies. Why? Because we expect them that in the long run, they'll give you lower prices or value for money, and they'll give you better products, more choice.
Oh yeah. Okay.
If you think
Yeah,
about
okay.
BT, and it's allowed to be a monopoly. Why? Because then they can improve the broadband infrastructure, isn't it? Because small firms will struggle over there.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Right? Now, moving it on. In terms of UK economy, are monopolies good or bad?
We consider them to be bad unless they're government. Is it
I would say if we have companies that behave in the right fashion
Oh yeah, they can.
and they use dynamic efficiency by lowering prices and increasing customer choice as well, what will happen to our exports?
They'll increase.
They will increase. So
Yeah.
they can actually make economy competitive.
Yeah. Must be.
If you look at USA, they've got giants like Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft. So what have they done? They're actually exporting all that and they're bringing profits back to America.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
If you look at some of the British firms like British Petroleum, Shell, if you look at some of the investment banks we have, or banks like HSBC, these are big banks.
Yeah.
Monopolies. But what do? They export these services and they bring money back to the economy. So what they do is they make the British economy competitive.
Very well. Mm.
So can make British economy competitive. Which is pretty much the case with a lot of our pharmaceutical companies. Or even if you look at Tesco, when Tesco it's become big, and then what it's done is it's gone on to open up stores in Thailand, in China, in India as well.
Yeah.
And it brings all the money back to UK in profits. Which can then also help to reduce your balance of trade deficit.
Just not the camera.
Okay, what do you think could be the disadvantages of monopolies? Can you think of 2 or 3 disadvantages? Do you think are these productively efficient?
No.
No, so they're productively inefficient, so there is wastage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are they allocatively efficient?
No.
So they're allocatively inefficient. What about the welfare? Do they give welfare gain to the society or welfare loss?
Welfare loss.
Yes, it does generate welfare loss, but it does give you customer choice. So we've got those two.
Sort of trade-off.
Yeah. So what normally we say is we've got to look at the net effect between lower prices and consumer choice and welfare loss. If there is more welfare loss as compared to the increase in consumer choice or lower prices, then we'll say, yeah, it's then inefficient. Or if it's the other way around, then we say it's efficient. If you look at BT, if you look at Virgin, they've been allowed to make S&P. What's happened to the speed of broadband over the years? It's increased, isn't it? We can have 200 megabytes of broadband. Right. Are we happy with this so far?
Yeah.
So how do big firms or monopolies compete in the market? There are 2 types of pricing we need to look at. One is called limit pricing, and the other one is called predatory pricing. So in limit pricing, what they normally do so this is the big firm's average cost curve, yeah? Or monopoly in our case. So they're already achieving economies of scale, isn't it? C1 or C big firm. Yeah?
Yeah.
When a new company starts or enters the market, when a new business or a new firm enters the market, do they start producing large quantities straight away?
No.
So they start at small, isn't it? So let's say this is the new firm's average cost curve. Now, how can this monopoly create a barrier to restrict this new firm entering the market?
It can lower its prices.
It can lower its prices. Where? So when the new firm enters, this is their minimum cost they will experience, isn't it?
Mhm.
Cost of new firm. Yeah?
Mhm.
Cost of new firm. So where do you think the monopoly is going to have the price? Is it going to be CBF? Is it going to be here? Is it going to be CNF? Or is it going to be above that? To deter other people entering the market.
But it will be below any point below NF.
Well done. And above BF.
Yeah.
So below of this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So any price below NF and more than equal to CBF. So when it follows that policy of putting the price over here, that's called limit pricing. Why? It's limiting the new firms to enter the market. They cannot recoup enough money to meet their average cost, so they will not enter the market. They're deterred. Now, some firms can actually use something called predatory pricing to consolidate the market position to become a monopoly. So what they do is, let's say, for example, you've got a number of firms in a market, you've got supply curve, you've got demand curve. That's the market supply and demand, and that's the market price. So what the dominant firm, or the firm that wants to become a monopoly, it increases the market supply. When the market supply will increase, what will happen to the price?
It will fall.
It will fall, isn't it?
Mhm.
When the price falls, what happens to the other small firms? Will they make a profit or a loss?
A lot.
Loss. And if they don't have deep pockets like the firm who's driving them out with predatory pricing, what will they do? Will they stay in the market or exit the market?
They'll be forced out.
They'll be forced out, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll be
Priced out and exit the market. When they exit the market, the firm that brought and increased the quantity and brought the prices down, in the long run, they will increase the price back up by reducing the quantity. And the price goes back up. So they start making supernormal profits. Isn't that something European Union and USA accusing China last year of dumping
Yeah,
steel all over the market?
yeah.
There's not more to it, but it's just an example, isn't it? Or in UK, there's been recent investigation into some of the bus companies, where they've kept low prices to drive the independent operators out because of low prices. And once the independent operators are out,
Yeah.
they increase their price. And I think it's First Choice, is it? Or the bus services, yeah. One of them is German on. I'm failing to recollect the name. And yeah, they've been accused of it. Right. Are we happy with monopoly?
Yes.
Shall we look at, just the conditions? We've discussed all of this just as a closing thing. Monopoly, single firm. When we talk about monopoly power, there are several firms in the market. Yeah.
Mhm.
There is one seller, or there are few sellers, and lots of buyers. The seller enjoy some power in terms of setting the prices.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.